Hello, everyone. Woo. Hope you're having an amazing day. So welcome to the Cosmic Energy Forecast for the week of October 19th through the 26th, or roundabouts in there. So, as you know, we're bringing the Cosmic Energy Forecast in a little bit different of a format these days. Not actually doing days, because if we're not living in time and space, we don't have to pay attention to the illusion. Oh, golly. So, how do we use the cosmos, like literally moving forward in our evolution? It's all about knowing and understanding the cosmos and the laws of the cosmos into a state of complementary kind of consciousness versus a state of competition consciousness. Whew, can you feel the energy of that? So fun and amazing. All right, so as we move through the beginning stages of our evolution, like literally the age of, Aquarius, what I was born for, the real question becomes, how do we function? Well, hopefully you will find this useful. So the vibrations, the frequencies in the week ahead, what's happening? Expectations. Oh, can you feel the energy of those today even? It's kind of the theme for at least the beginning of this week. And it kind of sets us up for the entire week, really. So when we create expectations, we are looking for a desired outcome, right? Like we've sort of set our sights on something, expecting it to be a certain way. Expectations, though, are not the same as desires. It's an expectation. It has nothing to do with your desire. There is a clear vibrational discord between the two words and the ideas and concepts that follow them. So when you create an expectation, you create a I want it this way kind of mentality or energy around it, or vibration to it. This limits you from all the other potentials, because potentials happen right here. But if you have an expectation, it's out here. Can you see the difference? Gazillions of potentials right here. Only one expectation out here. So with this limited view, you only expect it to show up as you can think about it, or as you feel about it. And when it shows up as something else, you end up totally missing it. It's literally the lesson for the week. Expectations are not your desires. They are your expectations. Desires, on the other hand, are the emotions behind the yearnings. So when you desire something, it most likely comes from the depth of who you are. It most likely comes from deep within you. Like it's just this unending desire that you can't push aside. You cannot get rid of it. You cannot flush it down the toilet. Nothing. Like it just comes and it stays there until it becomes your focus. And if you follow the desire, here's the fun stuff about desires. When you follow the desire, which is how you want to feel, it shows up in such beautiful and magnificent ways. You see and feel and know the vibrational differences here. Expectations are always in your future, always in your future. Desires come from deep within you. They are not an equivalent. So don't put them in the equivalent, but this week, right now, this heavy, burdensome kind of expectation, kind of energy is setting you up for misunderstanding. It's setting you up for frustration and resentments and controversy and anger. And all of those things come from this entangled web that we create in our mind. And it is almost a guarantee to appear this week if you are not hyper aware. So in your meditations, in your visioning for the week, in your journaling practice, or in your awakening practice, get very clear about what the desires are. Those deep emotional yearnings. But don't set any expectations or rules around them for them to appear. Like, we do these goal setting things. Don't set goals, set intentions. I intend to be happy this week versus I'm going to be happy this week. Two different vibrations, two different outcomes. All right, so this happens early this week, as I said, like today, tomorrow, Wednesday, most likely, but then it just kind of hangs there. Like it just kind of sets in these expectation kind of heaviness kind of energies. Later in the week, your desire becomes magnified. So by Wednesday, Thursday, it becomes even bigger. Your desires get bigger because if you're not actually fulfilling your desires, what happens to them? They become deeper. They become more emotional. They become more ingrained in who you are. So if you're not actually allowing them to be fulfilled, well, your soul pops up and says, hey, remember, this is what we're desiring right now. If we can't make this all happen and open up to the potentials of it, then we're going to magnify it. We're going to make it even more. That's where the emotions come in. That's where things get all, and then we sit there and say, well, it's because my expectation didn't come through. No, it's because you're not paying attention to your desires. To move through this kind of an energy, you have to be super authentic. Do you see how everything we've been talking about this year is beginning to play out, right? Like those pivots that we talked about with the early in the year, January, June, July, we were talking about pivots, right? Well, if we're not pivoting, those are desires. Those are deep desires generally. Pivots are generally like pull you right into alignment with who you are. But if you're actually not paying attention to them and you're creating expectations instead of listening to the pivot, instead of listening to those deep yearnings, those deep desires, and we're not being very authentic, then what happens is they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the emotions get more and more confused, and we don't understand ourselves, and can you feel that? It's exactly what's happening in the mass consciousness right now. Lots and lots of chaos. So allow the desire to appear as it is aligned with your soul self rather than your logical self. So when you use your authenticity, the part of you that says, I feel like I'm feeling kind of stuck right now. It's probably a pretty common theme for a good portion of us, is we have this energy that's like sort of like stagnant. Like we're feeling very stagnant moving into this. We're also in a retrograde. So of course that compounded upon not fulfilling our desires leaves this stagnaticity, right? So when we're feeling that kind of energy, we have a tendency to flip over to the lack side instead of actually being authentic and saying, wow, yeah, I'm really stagnant in my practice right now. I'm really stagnant in my exercise routine right now. I'm really stagnant in the food that I'm eating right now. So if we're looking at the reality, which there isn't really reality, but if we're looking at the reality of it or the authenticness of it, we have to get really real about what it is that we're really feeling stagnant in. Then we won't create these blocks within our energy field. Okay, when you use your authenticity this week, your morals are involved. Like, let your morality come into play here. Because when you're using your morality, the things that you really believe are in alignment with who you are, nothing can remain hidden. So expectations set us up for the hidden things, hidden ways of being, right? Like they hide, it's like a secret component. Expectations hide and carry secrets. Authenticity does not have any secrets. It's your moral value, your moral compass. Feel the difference of the vibrations of those, right? So let your morality come in. Let your morality come in and guide your authenticity. Then there won't be any hidden agendas, no hidden belief systems or thoughts or emotions, no secrets, no secret doors to look behind. All right, so there will be so much chaos this week, and that lure of chaos will try to seduce you, right? It will try to be really seductive with all of its secret components and all of its little hidden gems, or what it thinks to be gems. So seductive energy it's really going to set you up to fail. And it will pull you back into old patterns. So chaos energy pulls you, it lures you, right? Because it taps into your old patterns, pulls you in from old emotions or old thought patterns, old guilt. Lots of old guilt generally with chaos. So you will want to pull back it will want to pull you back literally from the edge. Like if you're out here playing on the edge and you're really moving along in life and life is like robust and just on course, well, what chaos does is it tries to pull you back from the edge. It tries to pull you back from you thriving. It wants to pull you back into survival. But don't do it. Don't do it. Let yourself go beyond the edge. Can you feel that? Let yourself go beyond the edge into this immense space of healing that chaotic kind of energy within you. Did you just feel the gateway open for that? That was gorgeous. So when you move through your emotions, your thoughts, your belief systems, and you come out literally on the other side, there is just pure freedom over there. There is just pure lightness. Like the body feels like you feel happy. You feel joyful and blissful, right? So how do we maneuver? Trust yourself. Surrender to yourself and be very disciplined this week, especially because of the chaos energy and the expectation kind of energy that's plaguing us. Like be very disciplined in your practice and to know your own spirit. Like that's literally the key, is to follow the desire, not the expectations. Get out of the mind. Get out of the mind this week and into your soul self. If you do nothing else, just get out of your mind. When you become confused or angry or disappointed, or you're playing around in that chaos kind of energy, when you let the energies control you, these lower vibrations will do just what they intend. All right, so when you have chaos energy around, which is all week, by the way, expectations are chaos energy. But when you sort of fall into the trap of them, those lower vibrations have a huge intention. And that intention is to control you. Honestly, if you can handle this week, you can handle the rest of the year with the chaos energy, because the chaos energy is going to get worse and worse. Been telling you that for a while. The chaos energy will get worse and worse and worse. It's not going to end at the end of 2020. 2021 promises to get worse. We're going through a 7-year period here, so master yourself. That's what I have to say. Master yourself. So what happens is when we fall into these lower vibrations of chaos, they pull you into a lower timeline. And that's what falling back into your old patterns is you end up falling into these lower sort of timelines that you've already experienced, but they're so repetitive and so ingrained in our cellular structure that we have a tendency to fall back into them very easily. So how do you get out of them and how do you not fall into them? You respond differently. You are in a state of hyper-conscious awareness and you respond differently. So you shift. So you can make a decision and you can shift into a higher timeline versus falling back into those old, worn out timelines. The point is, be conscious. The trigger? Well, now that's the key to what timeline you shift into. So pay attention to what triggers you this week. Like what triggered you today? There were lots and lots of triggers hanging around today. Lots of triggers. Lots of triggers. There will be lots of triggers this week. If you know what your triggers are, it's real easy to take a step back and say, oh, there's that trigger. Not going to choose that trigger. I'm not going to fall back into that lower timeline. I'm going to choose something else, responding differently, choosing an entirely different timeline. All right. So it's all about hyperconsciousness. That's where we're headed. It's who we are. These hyperconscious, beautiful, amazing beings who don't have to fall into our old traps, who don't have to fall into our old expectations, who can actually live from our desired state and thrive. Have an amazing week. This is Angela Blaha signing off from the cosmos.